Only 33 students have joined. Hmm? Okay. So, where did we stop in yesterday's class? Hmm? Where did we stop in yesterday's class? We had started looking into the concept of understanding the data. Is it? Hmm? So, yesterday I told you before we start learning the various data mining techniques and how to apply them, we need to have a good understanding of the data. Okay, so getting the data ready. So in order to get the data ready, we need to have some understanding of the data. What are the measures of central tendency associated with the data? What are the measures of dispersion? Then how do we highlight the outliers through some visualization techniques? So all these should be known before we start looking into the data mining techniques. Okay, so as a part of it, we yesterday we looked into the different types of data sets which can take the form of a record, a graph, and a network, or it could be an ordered data, or it could be a spatial uh, image or a multimedia image. Okay, then we also looked into the important characteristics of the structured data. Okay, so what were the characteristics of the structured data? First one is all about dimensionality. Okay, so I told you that real world data is multidimensional, n number of dimensions or features or attributes. Okay, so it will have more features than can be understood or seen by the human eyes. Okay, so when you're working with very huge data sets, okay, when you have attributes, more than 100 attributes, then we call it as high dimensional data. Okay, so what are all the difficulties that you face when you try to analyze it, try to visualize the data, try to detect the patterns while training the machine learning models? Okay, so those difficulties we call it as the curse of dimensionality. Of course, we have solutions regarding how to overcome these difficulties. Anyway, right now we are not going to discuss all those things. We have techniques like principal component analysis, and a number of dimensionality reduction techniques are available which will take care of it. Then we looked into the sparsity of the data. What was sparsity all about? Sparsity. Sparsity of the data. Trying to get a count of the number of cells populated in a relational table, right? I gave you an example also yesterday. Trying to, in certain region or in certain part, district, only certain products are being sold, and some other products are not being sold. Okay, so the cells are either filled or not filled. That's what sparsity is all about. Only presence count. Then resolution, which matters for pattern recognition techniques. Then we also looked into the distribution. Distribution is associated with centrality. Centrality is all about measures of central tendency and dispersion, the spread of the data. Therein we will be discussing about the measures of dispersion. Okay, so this was covered in yesterday's class. Okay, so then the next one is the data objects. I think we started discussing about data objects yesterday, right? We started discussing about this. Okay, so data sets. Data sets made up of data object. When we say data object, it's nothing but it will represent a entity. Okay, so for example, sales database will have customers, store items, sales, or the university database having professors, students, courses. Okay, so all these are called samples, examples, instances, data points, tuples, or rows as far as a relational DBMS is concerned. Okay, so they are described by what is called your attributes. Attributes are nothing but your column or features. Okay, so yeah, so attributes Second. Okay, then we started looking into the various types of attributes. Okay, we started looking into the different types of attributes. So, what were the different types of attributes? Yeah. So, these are the four types of attributes. We have what is called the nominal attributes, is categorical in nature. Then we have what is called the binary attributes. Then we have what is called the quantitative attributes or the numeric attributes. Under that, we have two types. One is what is called the interval scaled uh, attribute, and the second one is what is called the ratio scaled, interval scaled and ratio scaled. Okay, so first we'll look into what a nominal attribute is. Okay, so nominal means relating to names. Nominal, something which relates to names. Okay, so uh, maybe each value can represent some sort of category or some code, let's say some zip code or pin code or whatever. So generally these nominal attributes come under, they are called categorical attributes. Categorical attributes. Okay, so they don't have actually any meaningful order associated with it. When you say nominal attributes, they don't have any uh, meaningful order associated with it. Okay, so example is being given here. Okay, to quote another example, it can be the ID numbers. Okay, so or let's say the color of your eyes or zip code. Yeah, zip code is mentioned here. The occupation, the ID numbers, the marital status. Okay, so it is either married or not married. Okay, so the order doesn't matter here. Okay, so the two examples are given here. Hair color. Hair color, it's given auburn, black, blonde, brown, uh, gray, red, and white. So these are the values given for this particular attribute. Okay, so I mean, marital status. Marital status can be, let's say, single or married or widowed or divorced or whatever. Okay, so these two, this hair color and marital status, just highlighting these two as an example. Okay, so they both are nominal attributes. Okay, so I mean, uh, you can even represent these names with numbers. Okay, for example, you can give the hair color as for auburn you can give 0, black you can give 1, blonde you can give 2, and so on. Okay, so but then when you give numbers, see, instead of this you can give it as, I can give these sort of numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, but then those numbers you cannot use them quantitatively. So in the sense, the mathematical operations, you cannot perform any mathematical operations on the values of these attributes. That cannot be meaningful. I cannot add 0 plus 1 here. These are the hair colors given here. Okay, so or I mean, yeah, I cannot subtract one if it is a customer ID or a zip code. I cannot subtract one zip code from another zip code. So that is meaningless. So what I want to say is, like it is, I mean, though I can give numbers to these as values to these attributes, we cannot, it is not meant to be used quantitatively. Okay, it is not meant to be used quantitatively. Okay, so the next one is what is called the binary attributes. I hope all of you are making a note of it. Binary attributes. So binary attribute, Yeah, this is also a type of nominal attribute only. But then here we have only two categories. Two categories, or you can say two states, 0 or 1. Okay, so generally, I mean, 0 means it will be the absence of an attribute, and 1 means it will be the presence of an attribute. Okay, so these binary attributes, another name for it, you would have learned it in your logic circuits or some other subject, it is also called Boolean. Boolean attributes. Boolean attributes. So Boolean attributes when they correspond to true or false. Okay, so true or false, it can be called as, binary attributes or Boolean attributes. Okay, so the examples are also given here. Then again, you have two categories of it. Okay, symmetric binary attribute and asymmetric binary attribute. Okay, symmetric binary attribute and asymmetric binary attribute. So what are these? Okay, symmetric binary attribute and asymmetric binary attribute. Okay, symmetric means both the states are equally valuable, and they carry the same weight. In the sense, there is no preference on which should be put as 1 or which should be put as 0. Anything can be put as 0 and anything can be put as 1. Okay, so one such, I mean, example is given as gender. Hmm? So there is no hard and fast rule that male has to be coded with 0 or female has to be coded with 0. Okay, so both the states are equally valuable. Okay, that is what is called a symmetric binary attribute. Okay, then the next one is what is called a asymmetric binary attribute. Okay, so asymmetric binary attribute means the outcomes of the state are not equally important, like just like the positive and the negative outcomes of let's say a medical test, for testing for AIDS or HIV, whatever. Okay, so like we code generally in such cases, we will code the most important outcome, which is usually the rarest one, like by one. So that is HIV positive will be one, and the other one, that is HIV negative, will be zero. Okay, so here the outcomes are not equally important. Okay, so that's what your asymmetric binary attribute is all about. Okay, so please make a note of it. Binary attribute, which is also called Boolean, and then we have two types of a binary attribute. One is what is called the symmetric binary attribute, and the second one is what is called the asymmetric binary attribute. Okay, so next we have what is called the ordinal attributes. Ordinal attributes. Are you all listening? Hmm? Adya,
Yes,
listening?
ma'am.
Adya is there in class? So please bear with the disturbances. I'm sitting at the admission desk here in KTR campus, so there could be disturbances. Even in your video recording, there could be disturbances. Okay, so maybe if you want, we'll repeat in the next class if anything is not clear. Okay, so next is what is called your ordinal attributes. Ordinal attribute. So, yeah, it's mentioned here values have a meaningful order, but the magnitude between the successive values is not known. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Let's say, surveys are there, surveys will be conducted. For rating the surveys, okay, so the participants will be asked to rate a particular survey regarding how satisfied particular customers are regarding a particular product or a particular event or whatever. So customer satisfaction yeah, can be put into various ordinal categories. Customer satisfaction, for example, you can put 0 as highly dissatisfied, very dissatisfied. 1 is somewhat dissatisfied. 2 is neutral, 3 is satisfied, and 4 is highly satisfied. Okay, so you are putting that as, ordinal categories. Okay, so what I mean to say is ordinal attribute means it's an attribute with possible values that have a meaningful order, or some sort of ranking between them. Mm. But then the as specified in the PPT, magnitude between the successive rankings is not known. What's the difference between 2 points or 1 and 2 or neutral and dissatisfied, that's not known, but then there's some sort of ranking involved in a ordinal attribute. Okay, so that's what is ordinal attribute all about. Have meaningful order like ranking, but the magnitude between them is not known. Okay, so then yeah, size, then small, medium, large. Okay, small, medium, large, yeah, grades, army rankings. These are all examples of ordinal attributes. Okay, so next coming to what is called numeric attributes. Numeric attributes, which is integers or real valued numbers. Numeric attributes. The numeric attributes means it will be quantitative in nature. Mm. So that is, you can call it as a measurable quantity. So, and it will be representing uh, either an integer or with decimal a real value number. Okay, so there are two categories for it. For numeric attributes, the first one is what is called your interval scaled attributes, and the second one is what is called your ratio scaled attributes. So these are the two categories. So these are very important from the examination point of view, not just from the examination point of view. Your foundation of your artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, data mining is all about having a good foundation for data. Understanding data means what are the different types of data, attributes, what are the different categories. So having a good understanding of this is very, very, very important. Even from the examination point of view, you can expect a lot of questions from this part. Okay, so the first one is what is called your interval scaled attributes. Okay, so interval scaled attributes means measured on a scale of equal sized units. Values have order. Okay, so the values of interval scaled attributes, they have some order associated with them, and the values can either be positive, zero, or negative. Okay, so in addition to providing a ranking, ranking of values, so these sort of attributes, that is the interval scaled attributes, even allow us to compare and quantify the difference between them. Okay, so you can add those values, you can subtract those values, but then you cannot multiply those values. Okay, so that's what is interval scaled variables all about. Okay, so that's what the data on a I'll give you an example. The data on a interval scaled uh, interval scaled variable, it can be either added or subtracted, but then it cannot be multiplied or divided. Okay, for example, it can be a temperature. It can be a temperature. So temperature attribute, it's mentioned here. Temperature. Okay, so temperature is actually an interval scaled variable. Okay, so we can say a temperature of 20 degrees Celsius is 5 degree more than a temperature of 15 degrees Celsius or centigrade. Okay, so you are actually quantifying the difference between the values. Okay, but then though we can compute the difference between the temperatures, we cannot tell that one temperature is a multiple of another temperature. Okay, that means there is no true zero value. Okay, so without a true zero value, we cannot say that uh, 10 degrees Celsius is twice as much as 5 degrees Celsius, or as warm as twice as warm as 5 degrees Celsius. Okay, or we cannot say that one particular day is twice as hot as another day. Okay, because we cannot do these sort of things. So there is no true zero associated with the interval, no zero point, no true zero point associated with the interval scaled variable. Okay, so uh, that's what I mean to say. No true zero point means the data on the interval scale, it can be added or subtracted, but it cannot be meaningfully multiplied or divided because there is no true zero point. Okay, so we cannot speak of the values in terms of ratios. We cannot speak of the values in terms of ratios. Okay, the same way another example is being given here. nothing but your calendar dates. Calendar dates. Okay. Yeah. You have years 2002 or 2008. Okay, they are, let's say, 8 years apart or whatever. Hmm. But then there is no true zero point for the calendar. Hmm. Okay, because we cannot say that the value zero or the year zero corresponds to the beginning of time. Okay, so all these things are the, I mean, shortcomings of your interval scale variable. So we have the concept of what is called your ratio scaled variables. Ratio scaled variables. Okay, so yeah, so ratio scaled variable or have a inherent zero point or yeah, inherent zero point. So in the sense, um, you can add the values, subtract the values, multiply the values, or even divide the values. It is not like an interval scaled variable. You can add, subtract, multiply, and divide as far as the ratio scale variables are concerned. For example, it can be the weight, hmm, weight of a person, weight. Okay, so uh, yeah, even you can say the value as a multiple or as a ratio of another value. Okay, so again, the values will be ordered here. Order values will be ordered, and you can also compute the difference. Uh, and again, you can compute the measures of central tendency. There is mean, median, mode. All these things can be computed as far as the ratio scale variables are concerned. Okay, or the various examples are, it can be the weight, height, latitude, longitude, counts, monetary quantities. All these are I mean, ratio scale variables. Okay, which has a true zero value associated with it. So with the help of which you can add, subtract, divide, and multiply. Okay, so that's regarding that. So next, moving on to the next categorization, nothing but discrete variables and continuous variables. Discrete variables and continuous attributes. Discrete versus continuous. Okay, so now if you see all the machine learning algorithms, mm, all the machine learning algorithms or even the data mining algorithms, okay, whatever is being developed these days. Okay, so let's say the classification techniques. So the classification techniques, they all talk about the attributes as either discrete attribute or as a continuous attribute. Okay, actually there are different types of classification. Attribute itself, we told nominal, ordinal, interval scale, ratio scale. That was one nomenclature. So another nomenclature is actually discrete versus continuous attribute. So this is one taxonomy which is more popular as far as the machine learning field is concerned. Okay, so actually in practice, the real values are represented either using a finite number of digits. Okay, so and continuous attributes, they are typically represented as floating point variables. Floating point variables. Okay, so you can see here discrete attributes. Discrete attributes having only a finite or countably infinite set of values. It could be, example could be the zip code, the pin code, the profession. All these are having only finite set of values or a set of words in a collection of documents. Okay, so sometimes represented as a integer variable. Okay, so again, if it has only two values associated with it, then a subset of discrete attribute can be your binary attribute, which takes a special case of which can have only two values. Okay, so the next is actually the uh, continuous attribute. Continuous attribute. Okay, so continuous attributes are real numbers as attribute values, continuous values. It can be the temperature, the height of a person, the weight of a person. Okay, so practically real values can only be measured and represented using finite number of digits, what I just told you. And continuous attributes are typically represented as floating point numbers. Okay, so that's another categorization. typically found in the ML literature. Your discrete variables or continuous variables. Okay, so next we need to move on to the statistical descriptions of the data. So far what we have seen is the different types of attributes. We saw the different types of attributes. Attributes itself, I told you in yesterday's class, it's known by different names. Okay, so if it is a warehousing terminology, then we call it as what is a terminology which is being used in a warehousing terminology? We call it as dimensions. If it is an ML terminology, we call it as features. Okay, so database professionals and data mining professionals will call it as attributes. Attributes. Statisticians will be calling it as variables. So all are one and the same. Okay, so these are the different types. We have nominal, what we just saw. Then we had yeah, binary or boolean, ordinal, then the numeric attributes, two types. We had interval scaled and ratio scaled, and then we had another two taxonomy, which was discussed popularly in machine learning literature, called your discrete variable or continuous attribute. Discrete attribute and continuous attribute. So next we need to move on to the statistical descriptions of data. So here we are supposed to discuss about measures of central tendency. Measures of central tendency like mean, median, and mode. Then measures of dispersion like range, quantiles, percentiles, variance, standard deviation. So these are the various measures of dispersion which will help you to understand the spread of the data. Okay. So before doing that, let me take the attendance. And when I'm taking attendance, I'll just send a crossword puzzle to your WhatsApp group. So solve the crossword puzzle, and I'll randomly ask one of you to present in the class. You will have to draw it in your notebook. It's small. It's a small one, just based on the topic what I've just taught you right now. So draw the puzzle in your notebook, data mining notebook, and then you will have to present it. I'll ask one of you to present it, and it doesn't matter if it goes wrong, but then I want all of you to be doing it. And I will strike out the attendance of those who don't cooperate. So I've sent it in your WhatsApp group. Just check and let me know, have you got it? A small crossword puzzle. Can somebody confirm in the chat window whether you've got the puzzle?
No, ma'am. Yes,
No.
ma'am. Yes,
Yes. Both as a Word document and as a PDF I've sent it. So just by the time I take attendance, just solve it and share the answers. So answer your attendance. Anirudh?
present, ma'am.
Yeah, you can put it in the chat window. Those who have issues with your audio. Dharani?
Present, ma'am.
Ramharini?
Present, ma'am.
Kalyan Sundar?
Present, ma'am.
Aravind? Did Aravind? Aravind is present? No response from Aravind. Okay, so Aravind is absent in today's class also. Sharan Varghese?
Present, ma'am.
Shakti Priya?
Present, ma'am.
Misho?
Yes, ma'am. Present, ma'am.
Who's this trying to? Is Karthik Balaji a part of our class? Trying to join the class? Okay, fine. Shreya?
Present, ma'am.
Likita is absent. Suvedha?
Present, ma'am.
Vishal Basham?
Present, ma'am.
Srimati?
Present, ma'am.
Nityashri?
Yes, ma'am.
Pranav Ram?
Present, ma'am.
Raja Singh?
Present, ma'am.
Pooja?
Yes, ma'am.
Lavanya?
Present, ma'am.
Nityashri?
Present, ma'am.
Sriram?
Present, ma'am.
Satyamohan?
Present, ma'am.
Sharad?
Present, ma'am.
Aviral Patel?
Present, ma'am.
Hemavatini,
Present, ma'am.
Ajay,
Present, ma'am.
Shata Saha,
Present, ma'am.
Karthik Balaji.
Present, ma'am.
You just came for attendance, sir. Huh? Did you attend the class? I'm asking you, Karthik Balaji. No response, right? No response, no attendance. That's it. So give me an answer regarding whether you joined the class right now, whether you have attended the class, you'll be getting attendance, otherwise no. I'm striking out your attendance. Karthik Balaji is absent today. Okay, Santosh Kumar. Santosh Kumar, no response. Santosh Kumar also no response. Anand Arun. Anand Arun. All are absent. Huh? So many absentees today. Rahul P. Okay, Rahul is noted. Suhasini Shrikant.
Present, ma'am.
Apurva Ravichandran.
Present, ma'am.
Rithun.
Present, ma'am.
Adityan.
Present, ma'am.
Selva Niklesh. Selva Niklesh, our class representative, is absent today. Ram Sharan.
Present, ma'am.
Achinta Murari.
Present, ma'am.
Santosh Kumar.
Present, ma'am.
Pavitra Shri.
Yes, ma'am.
Praveen.
Present, ma'am.
Rakesh. Rakesh is absent today also. What happened to Rakesh? 116 Rahul is present. Okay, Rahul, I have noted your. Nityashree Narasimhan, C section.
Present, ma'am.
Nishok Katirave.
Present, ma'am.
Abel Prashant.
Present, ma'am.
Preetika.
Present, ma'am.
Kevin Kurian Joseph.
Present, ma'am.
Hiten.
Present, ma'am.
Adya.
Present, ma'am.
Jay Vora.
Yes, ma'am.
Got the answers?
Ma'am, 53 present, ma'am.
Yeah, 53. I marked it present. I'm asking whether you got the answers to the crossword puzzle what I posted. Are you aware that I've posted a crossword puzzle for you to solve while taking attendance? Jay Vora.
Ma'am, 1 second, ma'am.
Check your WhatsApp group. I've posted in the WhatsApp group. So solve that. Kishore.
Present, ma'am.
Kishore is solving.
Yes, ma'am. I'm trying.
Sridevi. Okay, noted Sridevi. Yash Rai.
Yes, ma'am.
Jayesh Kumar.
Present, ma'am.
So C section, everybody are present. So A section absentees is Selva Niklesh is absent, Anand Arun is absent, Santosh Kumar is absent, Karthik Balaji is marked as absent. Who's this?
Santosh Kumar, ma'am. I had
Santosh.
some problem.
Okay, marked you as present. Fine, Santosh. Noted. So absentees are Anand Arun, Karthik Balaji, then Likita. Likita is absent and Aravind is absent. Right? Okay, so has anyone got the answer for the puzzle? Anybody got the answer? Nobody got the answer. Adya, finished Adya? I'm not able to hear this. Lots. Can you put a message in the chat window? Okay. Anirudh is doing. One is categorical. Yes, correct. 3 is ratio. Yes, Anirudh. 3 is also correct. 6 is quantitative. Yes. 4 is qualitative. Now anything is missing? Yes, I think 2 and 5. Okay. 2 and 5 yet to find out. So somebody can give a try for 2 and 5. What about others? So it's a small classroom activity.
And 2 is nominal.
2 is, yes, very good. 2 is nominal, correct. 5 is, let me check what is 5. Yes, very good, Shreya. Both are correct. Nominal and numerical. Yes, done. Fine. Based on the discussion what we just did. So those who haven't done this, please do it. Okay, now we'll get back to our class. So I hope all of you got an answer for it. It's already solved and put it in the chat window. Okay, so now let's move on to the next topic. So we had stopped with the types of attribute. So next, okay, so I hope screen is visible. This is yet another diagram which tells you the types of data. This I actually wanted to show you at the beginning of the class. So you can see here. Okay, so please make a note of it. You may not see it in the textbook, but it's a very useful way of understanding figure. Okay, the data used either for counting or for measurement purpose. So when it is used for measurement purpose, it takes the form of numerical, which falls into two categories: ratio and interval scale, what we just discussed. When it's for counting, takes either the form of an ordinal variable attribute or as a nominal. Okay, nothing but categorical. Okay, so data is information, typically the result of measurement. So variables serve as placeholders for the data. Okay, so there are two types of variables: numerical and categorical. This is numerical data and this is categorical, numerical and categorical. And what are the subclassifications for it? Okay, so now let's come back to what we were discussing. Okay, so we just completed the data objects and attribute types. Okay, so next moving on to basic statistical descriptions of data. Statistical descriptions of data. Okay, so this statistical descriptions. So that will help you to understand what are all the properties of the data, and like which data values should be used for data analysis, which one should be treated as an outlier. Okay, so when we do all these statistical manipulations, we get an understanding regarding what are these. Okay, so we have actually two types. The first one is what is called measures of central tendency. Measures of central tendency. I think it's not mentioned here. Okay. Measures of central tendency. Nothing but your mean, median, and mode. Of course, it's mentioned in the next slide. Okay, so in the summary slide, it's not mentioned. So mean, median, and mode. Okay, so mean, median, and mode. So, then the next one is actually the measures of dispersion. Measures of dispersion, data dispersion. Okay, where you will be discussing about the range, the quantiles, percentiles, your variance, standard deviation of the data, the spread of the data. Okay, so first we'll look into the measures of central tendency, the mean, median, and mode. Okay, so all this you would have learned in your 12th standard or as a part of some mathematics, but still it's a very important topic as far as your data mining is concerned. Okay, so this measures of central tendency, we measure the location of the data, the location, the center of the data distribution, the middle or the center of the data distribution, it will try to locate. Then uh, it will help us to find out when you're given an attribute, when you're given a particular attribute, where does most of the values fall into? Fall into. Okay, so yeah, I mean, you can find out the central tendency for the particular data set, whatever we are taking. Then uh, uh, the most frequently appearing values or the middle location, the average, mean is nothing but the average value. All these things could be found out. Okay. Then we have this data dispersion characteristics, the numerical dimensions. Okay. Okay, this we'll look into one by one. So we'll start with this, the measures of central tendency, mean, median, and mode. Okay, so most of you would have already studied this. The first one. So you can see here, starting with this, the mean. The mean value. Mean is nothing but the average. So this is actually the most common and the most effective numeric measure. The center of the data set. Center of the data set, nothing but your arithmetic mean. Arithmetic mean. Okay, so you can see here, n is a sample size and capital letter N is a population size. So the sum of all values divided by the total number of values will give you the mean. You can see here, this is the formula for mean. The arithmetic mean, sigma xi divided by n. So divided by n. Xi in the sense I varies from 1 to n. Xi is a generalized way of representing. Xi in the sense x1 plus x2 plus x3 plus up to xn divided by n. Okay, so in SQL, those who have studied SQL or have come across SQL, structured query language in DBMS, you would have used aggregate function called average, AVG. AVG in your relational database system. Okay, AVG can be used. Average is nothing but your arithmetic mean. Okay, that is the first one. Okay, so the next you have one more formula mentioned out here, the one which I have just highlighted. So that is what is called the weighted arithmetic mean. Please make a note of all these in your notebooks. Please make a note of it. I hope you are making a note of it. Okay, so sometimes each value of this xi, they may be associated with some weight. Weight, wi, that's what is mentioned here in the formula, wi. Okay, I can be again from 1 to n. Okay, so that weights actually reflects the significance, importance, or occurrence, occurrence frequency attached to the respective value. Okay, so in such case, you can compute the arithmetic mean by using this formula, wi xi by wi. That is w1 x1 plus w2 x2 plus w3 x3 up to wn xn divided by the sum of the weights, w1 plus w2 plus w3 and other things. Okay, so this is what is called the weighted arithmetic mean or the weighted average. Okay, so but then like though it is one of the most popular measure of central tendency, the main disadvantage of mean is that it is sensitive to, we can say, the extreme values. In our data mining terminology, we can even call it as outlier values. Okay, so even a small number of let's say the extreme values can corrupt the value of the average. Okay, so for example, when you're computing the salary in an organization, okay, so if there are few very highly paid managers and the others are all in the similar category, so in such a case that average will get pushed up just because of that highly paid people in the organization. Okay, the same way the marks in the class, it all depends on whether you have few less number of scores that average value will be pulled down. If there are very few poor scores in the class. So, okay, so some sort of distortion happens to the mean value computed in all these cases. So in such case, we can go for what is called the third one mentioned out here. It is called the trimmed mean. Trimmed mean. Trimmed mean means you can trim the certain values. You can trim off the certain values. The values which are at the high extreme and the values which are at the lowermost extreme. You can trim those values or remove those values and then compute the average or the arithmetic mean. Okay. So if we are looking into the salary, so you remove the top 2% and bottom 2% and then compute the mean. Okay, but then when we are doing that, we should do it very carefully. We should not be removing the 20%. It should be only 1 or 2%, not more than that. Maximum should be 2%. If we trim too large a portion, say 20% or something, this can, it can result in the loss of important information itself. So you should be careful regarding chopping the extreme values. So that is what is called trimmed mean. Okay, so please make a note. We have seen arithmetic mean, the algebraic measure, the first formula out here. Then the weighted mean, when we have weights associated with each value, so significance or occurrence and other things. Then we have the trimmed mean. Trimmed mean is when you feel that the average is getting distorted or affected by few extreme values. Extreme values can either be extreme at the top or at the bottom. So you can remove those 2% or 1% of the data and then compute the mean, which will give you a good measure. Okay, so that is another thing. Okay, so the next one is median. Median. What is median? The middle value. The middle value. Okay, so the middle value is what is called the median. So you can say the value that separates the higher half of the data from the lower half. Higher half of the data from the lower half. Okay, so this median generally applies to the numerical data. It generally applies to numerical data. Okay, so generally the data values will be sorted either in ascending order, sorted in descending order. So, and again, when you see the total number of items or the data values, if the total number of data values is odd, then it is easy to find the median. It will be the middle value. The middle value will be the median. But then, in case the number of items in the data set is even, then the median will not be unique. It will be two middlemost values, two items in the middle. So, two items in the middle will be your median. Okay, so then in such a case, in case X is a numeric attribute, so the median will be taken as the average of the two values which will be occurring in the middle. Okay, so that's what is median all about. Then of course we have a formula being given here, so that is in case the data is being represented as a frequency table, as a range. Say example has been given, age and frequency. Age group between 1 to 5, there are 200 people, 6 to 15, there are 450 people. So in such case, how to compute the median is this way: L1 plus n by 2 minus sum of the frequency divided by the frequency median into width. So this L1, L1 is actually the lower bound of the median interval. Okay, so that is a lower bound. Then you can see here n. N is actually the number of values in the entire data set. Okay, then we have something called sigma frequency. Sigma frequency is actually the sum of frequencies of all the intervals that are lower than the median interval. Okay, so that's what. Width is nothing but the width of the median interval. Okay, so with the help of this, you can compute the median. Okay, so if it is odd, yeah, that's what is all about median. Okay, so median is of the value. If it's odd number, you can straight away find the middle value will be the median. Then in case it is even, then the average of two middle values will give you the median value. Okay, then the last one is what is called mode. So mode means the set of data, not a set of data, the value which occurs most frequently in the data set. Okay, so this can be done for both quantitative variables as well as for qualitative variables. Okay, for quantitative and qualitative data, mode can be found out. Okay, so in case the data set is having only a single mode, it is called unimodal. In case it is having two mode, then it is called bimodal, three mode, trimodal, etc. So in case generalizing, we say if it is having two or more mode, then we call it as multimodal data. Okay, so these are the measures of central tendency. So the next class will look into the measures of dispersion. Measures of dispersion. Any doubts?
Ma'am.
So please look into this. We'll continue in the next class. Thank you.